Hello, my name's Duncan MacLean. I was born in 1945, which makes me 67 now. I was born in Scotland and now I've lived most of my life out of Scotland.
So Duncan, would you like to tell us a little bit about how you started to train as a diver after leaving the army?
I left the army in 1966 and I've been stationed in the Middle East, and I've been doing some leisure diving in the Persian Gulf, which was absolutely lovely, very warm water, very clear water, and I thought I was quite good at diving, so I was considering that as a career option. Oh, you're a diver? I said, well, you know, I've done a bit. He said, well, the Manchester Ship Canal are looking for divers now and they're really struggling. Are you interested? I said, yeah, I am. So they gave me this name and details of a set of lock gates in Warrington. And he said, make your way down to Warrington and they are expecting you. And it was like a den of thieves it was. They were sitting there, all smoking, heavily tattooed and playing cards. And they were working. I said, I've come about the diver's job. Come in, lad. Do you play cards? I said, oh, I play cards. So they dealt me in and we spent an hour playing cards, and that was the interview. If you could play cards, you were okay. And I passed the first part of the interview. The second part was what they call a dip, which means the new driver actually getting dressed and going into the water to show that he can dive. And there's 3 of a crew in a diving boat. There's a couple of divers and there's one linesman. And the linesman, it's a skilled job, and it's him that actually dresses you. And he's a lovely old chap. And he saw me with this diving suit and I think he thought, oh, we've got one here, you know. And he said, you've done this before, have you? I said, I've done a little bit. He says, oh, okay. Climbed down this ladder and I got down to the bottom and I thought, God, this is awful. And he said, I'm going to send you a hammer and chisel down in a bucket. So I'm standing at the bottom and this bucket banged on the helmet. And I thought, right, he said, I want you to hammer and chisel against the wall of the lock wall so that I can hear you hammering and chiseling in the dark. So I put the hammer down, I found the wall, and I put the hammer down, and I got the chisel, and I put the chisel in, and I thought, where's the bloody hammer? And I put the chisel down, and I went looking for the hammer, and you could see your bubbles way away from where I should have been. And he said, you've lost the hammer, haven't you? I said, I've lost the chisel as well. And he said, come up, you silly bugger. And he said, well, Duncan, you're crap, but you're the best we've had today, so do you want the job? And I said, yeah, go on then. And I was there for 3.5 years, I think. Once I got established at the Manchester Ship Canal, they obviously wanted some personal details from me. They wanted names and dates of birth and addresses and things like that. Well, hadn't actually found somewhere to stay, and I couldn't find anywhere to stay. I was actually living in my car, and in the evening I used to nip into a pub and have a bottle of Guinness and ask them if they had any accommodation, or if they knew where I could get some accommodation. And I looked a bit scruffy, and everywhere I went they said, no, we've got nowhere here. Well, by the time I'd been round to 5 or 6 places, having a bottle or 2 of Guinness in each place, I then definitely wasn't going to be getting anywhere to stay. And on one particular night, I went into this chip shop in Warrington for my tea. And he seemed a nice chap, and I said, excuse me, don't know of anywhere around here where I can get some accommodation. And he said, you can stay here. And he said, you came in for some fish and chips. Would you like some tea now? Because this is your home. It must have looked a bit strange. I said, that would be lovely. Now, I've never liked fish, and I still don't like fish. and they came in with this big plate of fish and chips. They'd chosen me a particularly large piece of fish, because that was the new lodger. It was battered cod, and they'd singled me out this huge piece of fish. And of course I ate it, and that was a mistake, because once you've eaten it once, every Friday, for the 3 years I lived there, I got fish and bloody chips. We did quite a lot of repair work on quite large ships that went up and down the canal, and we did quite a lot of work on their propellers. But before we would go on to the propeller, we'd actually go into and see the engine room and actually make sure they disconnected the engine from the prop shaft, so there's no way that we can be sitting, and these propellers are massive, there's no way we can be sitting on top of a propeller and somebody by accident switched the engine on. So we always had to go on board the ship, and there's always lots of whiskey on all these